Donald Trump went on national television this month, and within minutes he was relitigating the 2020 election. Not 2024, the one he won, the one he lost, 5 years later, on air, unprompted. That detail tells you almost everything you need to know about what's actually going on inside this presidency right now. Because here's the thing National Review noticed, and it's the part most of the coverage skipped right past. When the President of the United States is sitting on a sweeping electoral victory, a second term, the full machinery of the executive branch, and he still cannot stop talking about the one race he lost. That's not strategy. That's not messaging. That's something else entirely. That's insecurity on full display in real time. Now stay with me, because this is where it gets interesting. The conventional wisdom about Trump in 2020 has always been that he's playing a game, that the grievance is a tool, that he keeps January 6th alive because it energizes the base, raises money, keeps the coalition welded together. And sure, some of that is true, but what you saw on air this month wasn't a calculated move. It was a man losing the thread, live, because someone poked at the soft spot. And here's the part that should stop you cold. He has already won, he's the sitting president. The election he's obsessing over happened more than 5 years ago. The opponents from that race are politically finished. There is no rational, strategic, vote-getting reason to be screaming about 2020 and 2026. None. So why is he still doing it? If this is already shifting how you read the news cycle, subscribe, because we pull apart these buried stories every week. Let's slow this down because the answer matters. National Review's argument, and it's a sharp one, is that January 6th and the 2020 election aren't political topics for Trump anymore. They're personal wounds. They're the one place where the bravado cracks. Watch him on any other subject. The economy, the border, foreign policy, and he's loose, jabbing, having fun. Bring up 2020, and the temperature changes. The voice tightens. The eyes change. He's not selling anymore. He's defending. And what's he defending? Not a policy, not a record. He's defending a version of reality in which he didn't lose. Because if he did lose fairly to Joe Biden in 2020, then the entire mythology of Trump the winner, Trump the unbeatable, Trump who only loses when he's cheated, falls apart. And that mythology isn't just political branding, it's the load-bearing wall of how he sees himself. So when a host pushes on it, even gently, you're not watching a politician calculate. You're watching a man protect the story he tells himself about who he is. Now here's where it gets really revealing. Think about January 6th specifically. Most presidents, even ones who lost to ugly, eventually file the loss away. They write a memoir, they grumble in interviews, they move on. Trump can't. And National Review's point is that he can't because January 6th is the day the loss became undeniable, physical, televised. The day the transfer of power actually happened, with him watching. That's the memory the brain keeps flinching away from. That's the one he has to keep rewriting in public, over and over, because rewriting it in public is the only way he knows how to make it stop hurting. Which raises a question almost nobody in political media wants to ask out loud. What does it mean for the country when the most powerful person in it is running an executive branch, while simultaneously running an emotional defense operation against a 5-year-old memory? Because that's the actual situation. Not the cartoon version, not the partisan version, the real one. A president who, by every external measure, has won, is governing while haunted. And the haunting leaks out on live television whenever someone gets close to the wound. You see why this matters now? It's not about whether you like him or you don't. It's about understanding the operating system, because if the man at the top is making decisions partly to soothe a private injury from 2020, that changes how you read every fight he picks, every prosecution he pushes for, every official he targets, every pardon, every rally where 2020 comes up again unprompted in 2026. The grievance isn't a strategy hiding a calm operator. The grievance might be the operator. And here's where the National Review piece really lands the punch. They're not a left-wing outlet. They're not Trump's enemies. They've spent years navigating the complicated relationship the conservative movement has with this president. So when they say his insecurities are on full display, that carries weight. That's not the resistance talking. That's the right looking at its own standard bearer and naming what it sees, which is rare, and which is why this particular column is worth paying attention to, even if you only caught the headline on a feed somewhere. Now let me push you one layer deeper, because there's a pattern here that goes beyond Trump, and it's the reason this story should interest you, even if you don't follow politics that closely. Powerful people, all powerful people, have a wound, a place where the confidence is fake, A subject they cannot discuss without the mask slipping. For some it's money, for some it's a parent, for some it's a betrayal from decades ago. The wound is always there. The only question is whether you ever get to see it. With most leaders, you never do. The handlers are too good, the discipline is too tight, the cameras get turned off before the crack shows. With this president, the crack shows constantly, and it shows in exactly the same spot every single time. 2020, the loss, the certification, the day the story he wanted didn't happen. That's not a flaw in the political operation, that is the political operation. And the on-air meltdown National Review wrote about isn't really a meltdown in the traditional sense. It's not erratic, it's not unpredictable, it's the most predictable thing in American politics. Push on 2020, get the explosion. Every time, you could set a clock by it, so the real question isn't why does he do this? The real question is why, after a decade of watching this exact pattern, are people still surprised when it happens? Why does each instance get covered as if it's new? Why does the political press keep treating the grievance as a position to be debated rather than a tell to be read? Because reading it as a tell changes the whole picture. It tells you when he's strong and when he's not. It tells you which interviewers know how to get past the bluster and which ones don't. It tells you what he's actually afraid of, which is almost never the thing he's loudly attacking. He's not afraid of Joe Biden. He's not afraid of the press. He's not afraid of prosecutors. He's afraid, on some deep level, of the version of the story where he simply lost, fairly, to an opponent who was less famous, less charismatic, less interesting than he was. That's a story the brain can't accept. So the brain keeps building new versions, new conspiracies, new grievances, new reasons it didn't really happen the way it happened. And every time someone on television gets near that wound, you get the show. The same show. The 2026 version of the 2021 show. Here's the part that should sit with you. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when historians are writing about this era, they're not going to focus on the policies. Policies come and go. They're going to focus on this exact thing. The president who could not let go of a loss. The president whose central animating force, even in victory, was an old defeat. That's the story. That's the through line. That's what made this presidency different from everyone before it. And National Review, to their credit, said the quiet part out loud this month. They didn't dress it up, they didn't hedge it in 100 qualifications, they just named it. Insecurities on full display. That's a sentence that's going to age well. So next time you see him on a screen and someone brings up 2020 and the voice changes and the energy shifts and the familiar grievances come rolling out for the 1000th time, you'll know what you're actually watching. Not a political move, not a calculation, not a strategy. A man in public trying and failing to outrun a memory, and the memory is winning. If this reframed it for you, hit like so more people get pulled out of the noise and into the actual story.